Is it travel retail trash or a real Bavarian beauty? Join me here today for the Dregs as we drink through this bottle of SLYRS, the Flying Taste Munich Airport exclusive. We'll finish it off down to our last pour and we'll talk through my experiences with the bottle. Hi there, my name is Lewis and welcome to the Neckpour. This is the Whisky Review channel where I give you my thoughts and opinions on a particular bottle of whisky from the Neckpour all the way down to the Dregs. Before we go any further, let's get this bottle open, let's get it in the glass and let's have a bit of a chat about it. So yes, perhaps not known by all as the heart of the single malt world, but this is a Bavarian whiskey from Germany, and I absolutely love the bottle. It's stunning, really thick glass, really nicely engraved, and just a stunning bottle here that I think I might keep around rather than chucking in the bin, because I have really enjoyed it. It's very satisfying to hold and things like that. And who knows, maybe Infinity bottle number 2 might find its way into this. But yeah, without any further ado, let's have a little listen to the cork and pour ourselves a drop. Plastic cork on this one, and that real low sound shows we're right at the end. Pour myself a nice measure there, and we'll save that last bit for the Infinity. And yeah, let's get in about it. So this is a bottle that is, as per the name, it's a Munich Airport exclusive. And to be honest, it's probably now all gone. My wife said there was only about 5 or 6 left in the shop and the staff thought that was the end of it. This is bottle 272 of 279. So not a huge number left if they've sold them sequentially. However, whether that's the case or not, whether people have hunted out specific numbers, who knows? Not the cheapest, but a real curiosity for one, in terms of it's not traditionally hugely known as a massive area for well-known single malt whiskey, although they have been doing it for quite a long time. Since 1998 or 1999, they started production. And there are a few other distilleries in Bavaria, that particular area of Germany, as well as the rest of the country, that are putting out what are good single malts. So who knows, maybe it's a bit of a burgeoning industry. But yeah, this is 7 years old, distilled in 2018, bottled 2025, 55.4% natural colour, non-chill filtered. It's been matured in, they describe it as American oak. Having a little look on the website, it seems like that's not bourbon barrels. It seems like they are virgin oak barrels that they have toasted and charred themselves. And then this particular expression is finished in Bavarian beer barrels. And that is for the last sort of 2.5 to 3 years is the finish. So a pretty lengthy finish there in a barrel that's not super common within Scotch. I know ale casks are coming more into play, but not a traditional kind of barrel. And just overall, it makes for a very interesting and very different sort of product to what you see in your kind of supermarket drams. But yeah, let's get this up to the nose. So the first thing I get partly might be the big strength, might be the fairly young age, or it might be the finish. But there's just heaps of malt in this. Toasted grains. And then to go with that, I get huge amounts of citrus peel, which is something I quite often find those two together on those really kind of grainy whiskies. I often pick out lemon, I often pick out grapefruit, I often pick out orange. But yeah, loads and loads of malt, loads and loads of citrus peel. And then I don't know, they don't state the kind of beer that's used, but I would imagine it's a kind of more estery ale, something like that, because I'm getting loads and loads of unripe banana, which is something I pick up on a lot of those kind of darker, longer fermented beers. So I wonder if it was a slightly more interesting, darker ale casks of some kind in there, because that slightly green, slightly almost furry banana thing that you get on a slightly unripe banana, I get heaps of that on the nose. But for a pretty young whiskey at a big punchy strength, The alcohol's unbelievably well integrated on the nose. I can be right up in there. There's no prickle, there's no harshness at all. And to be honest, until I actually sat down to film this, I'd forgotten just how strong it was, because this drinks as well as tastes like something that's down in that sort of high 40s, nowhere near the 50s, which is a great sign that they must be doing things pretty well. But yeah, let's have a little taste. Again, those malty things just carry on in droves. We're big, we're powerful, we're full-bodied. There's a little hint of alcohol, first sip of the day of any kind of a dram for me. So I am getting a fair bit of punch there, but not aggressively, just I can tell that I'm drinking cask strength whiskey. Again, lots of maltiness. I'm thinking like Horlicks. And for those of you that aren't from the UK, that haven't been subjected to that, it's like a malted drink. Slightly sweet and very, very malty, almost like the centre of a Malteser if it was kind of dissolved in hot water, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I'm getting lots of that kind of super concentrated, almost malt essence. On top of that, I'm getting a little bit of spice, like a peppered cracker, something like that you might have with cheese. And then it's rich and it's oily, but it is also kind of grainy, almost like kind of really heavily buttered toast, because you're getting that, all of those kind of grain notes from the bread, and then all of that oil and fat from the butter just washing around your mouth. Absolutely lovely on the palate. And it's a bottle I've come back to quite a lot. I've gone through it pretty quickly. And being a bit of a curio in the cabinet, it's a fantastic one to share with people. Because unless, like me, or probably like you because you're watching, only kind of nerds have this kind of whiskey, unless they routinely holiday in Germany or are German, you know? So a lot of people that I know, this is their first experience with German whiskey, as it is mine. And so it's a great thing to sort of have something, a bit of an oddball whiskey in your cabinet that you can share around. And then moving on to the finish of this. I don't know whether it's slightly psychosomatic, just because of knowing what it's been finished in, but I get lots of that kind of citrusy hop. It's that florality, it's the slightly astringent, it's the bitter, it's all of those things. And it's a really kind of lemony hop, a bright citrusy hop, not that sort of piney resinous hop, but yeah, that really light kind of hoppy thing. And again, just really coating the mouth and filling your palate completely fully. I get plenty of sort of spicy, woody tannins that's probably coming through from those virgin oak casks. And then something which I don't think I've ever had in a whiskey before, very, very specifically nutmeg. Like a kind of nutmeg grated over a rice pudding or some kind of dessert like that, like over something creamy, but it's really specifically nutmeg. And it's really intriguing because, as I say, it isn't something I've ever tasted before in anything. And it's actually really nice. It's a really enjoyable sort of note to finish on. And not your traditional kind of clove, cinnamon, baking spices. Although nutmeg is in that kind of family of baking spices, it's not a kind of generic baking spice note. It's really specifically nutmeg to me. And I find that really, really interesting. But then onto the negatives of this whiskey. It is a bit young. The finish does kind of fall off a little bit, maybe a little bit longer in a slightly less active cask might have done it a little bit of good. And the price. This is not a cheap drop. I mean, it's pretty specialist, pretty rare. I'm sure to get one shipped over to the UK it would cost a lot more than this. But it was €114.90, which at the time of purchase was £99.30. So let's call it 100 quid, give or take. It's not cheap. I absolutely admit that. But this is a reasonably smallish distillery. And had we not picked it up there at the airport, you can't get this bottle anywhere else. So, value, certainly relative. You could probably do better in terms of getting certainly a bottle of something probably 75, 80 quid, distilled in Scotland, probably as good as this, or at least on par. But for me, the curiosity factor, and compared to a lot of the absolute rubbish that's shipped off to travel retail, I'm still pretty happy with the purchase. I mean, would I go back and buy another bottle? Maybe not. But if there was another SLYRS expression there, absolutely. I would absolutely have to think about it, because this is very well made whiskey. It's very enjoyable, and I'm sure the rest of their stuff is just as good. But yeah, before I wax too much more lyrical about how much I've enjoyed this and how much of an oddity it is, I'd just like to say thank you all so much for joining me here today. I really do appreciate that you take time out of your day to spend a little bit with me. And if you've enjoyed this video, I would just like to say, if you could leave a like on the video, it does really mean a lot to me. If you've got any thoughts and opinions on this particular bottle, if there's anything at travel retail that you think I'm missing out on, or there's any other weird world whiskies that you're into that you think I should know about, drop that down in the comments. I'll be sure to get back to you. If you've really enjoyed the video, please consider hitting the subscribe button and the notification bell so you're informed next time I post. But other than that, again, I'd just like to say thank you so much for joining me here today. And until the next time, I'd like to say cheers, slancha, and I'll see you again.